Greetings, students. Today we'll be looking at the four main layers, and here's where our journey begins, to the center of the Earth. Now, I want you to think, and I'll give you a minute or two. If we cut the diagram on our right-hand side into several pieces, would each piece look the same, or would it have a variation or a variety of size or colors? Good, that's correct. So each layer will have a different makeup. It will be formed by different materials and condition. Now on our right hand side you see that it have white, yellow, orange and brown. So each one of the color or circles indicates a different or specific layer. Now these are the objectives. So students, by the end of the lesson, we'll expect you to identify the four main layers of the earth, and we'll ask you to name them from outside to inside. Also, we move on to describe. So we'll ask you to state at least one key characteristics of each layer and the makeup or the composition of it. Then compare using digital diagrams. We'll ask you to actually what is the crust, what is the mantle, what is the outer core, and what is the inner core. Then we have connect. We will actually connect. We ask you to connect the different topic, and we'll assist you to connect it to related topics such as volcano, earthquakes, and plate movements. Then we have demonstration, whereby we'll ask you to demonstrate, and we'll give you worksheets and quizzes to actually have a more formative assessment or response from you. So let's take our journey from the surface of the earth where we all walk and have our daily activity to the innermost part of the earth. So firstly, we have our surface, which is green, our trees, plant there, we have our daily activities and so on. Then we have our crust, which is about, let me hear, very good, 5 to 70 km thick. Under our crust, we have our mantle, which is 2,900 km thick. Follow our mantle, we have our outer core, which is mostly liquid iron and nickel. Then lastly, we have our inner core, which is basically solid. So here I'll give you a minute or two to note down this and note down the specific characteristics or makeup of each one. Great. So also I will ask you guys to view a YouTube video on the different makeup. So I just placed a diagram here to summarize the video that I would share to you, but I'll ask you guys to actually look at the video in your spare time. Now let's meet each of the layers of our planet. Just like if I asked you to introduce yourself, you would have stated the most attractive or the most appealing thing about yourself that you would want the audience or the remaining of the class to know. Now let's see what the crust, Mr. Crust and Mr. Mantle, the outer core and inner core would want us to know about them. So can I have a volunteer to read each one? Very good. So thank you. We'll have the first one. So I'll just go it over to summarize it as the reader rightfully say. It is thin, solid outer layer and it have 5 to 70 km thick. It includes continents and ocean floors. The second one is mantle. Now this is about 2,900 km thick and this is mostly made up of dense rock or made of hot and dense rock. Then we have the outer core, which looks are made up of mostly liquid iron and nickel, and this creates magnetic field. So the first one is solid, the second one is solid slash plast, and the third one is liquid. The fourth one, inner core, is most of solid metal center, and this is under extreme pressure. This will be formed or created. Alright, so here's where we move on to our Jamboard Gamer experience, where I will ask you to now place yourself into small groups and take the labeling on your right hand side and place into the correct semicircle here. You'll be having 3 minutes to do the activity, and in addition, I'll ask you to basically state one key factors of each of the layer that you would have learned from the video or the presentation. So your 3 minutes begin now. Okay, great. So now that you would have completed, let's start. Your inner core would have been the first smallest circle that you're seeing there. Great. Everybody have that? Perfect. The outer core would have been the second circle. Your mantle would have been the third circle. And your cross would have been the fourth circle. Now ask you to express yourself of express stating one key factor that you would have written down for each of the layers. Great. Thank you. Now we'll move on. All right. Now, since we went through the Jamboard experience, now we'll go through a quick quiz, and this is created by Kahoot. Now you'll be allowed to click your correct option. Which layer of the earth is liquid and help to create our magnetic field? I'll wait for your response. Good. Now all the response locked in, and if you would have stated C, outer core, you are correct. So give yourself a little tap on the shoulders. Then we move on to why do earth layer matters. Now this is whereby I'll ask you to actually connect the ideas. We have our first idea, which is the volcano. Now magma from the mantle would rise. When it's hot, it would rise and it will crack the crust. Then it will create volcanic eruption, and that's how basically we would get volcanoes. We have our second option, our second topic, which is earthquakes. Now, with the movement of tectonic plates in the crust, it causes earthquakes or seismic waves, and this would result in an earthquake happening in a particular zone or area. Then we have magnetic field. This is whereby the outer core move and they generate a more magnetic field protecting us from solar radiation. And that's why magnetic field is important in this sense. Plate tectonic, the mantle will move and the movement of the earth, it will shape continents because we know that it have three main types of plate tectonics movements, whereby we have conversion, diversion, and transform. So today I'll ask you, what did you take away from this lesson? What was new to you? What is something that you would keep with you beyond this lesson? And I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes to express yourself. Great. So thank you. I would have loved the responses whereby students would have not knowing that the earth is made up of four layers, and then now they could say that the layer that we are walking on or we are occupying is not the only layer, and it have multiple other layers. Each of these layers would actually impact or have an influence on each other. Isn't that so? So I want to thank you all for being a part of the lesson. I want to thank you for listening. And this is not just a lesson that you will just complete just because or just because Miss come and teach it, but I hope that you actually take away, and when you go out in the real world, you can able to express or share this knowledge that was learned today.